Okay, dear friends in Dhamma, we are going to have the last question and answer session. So we have received several written questions or reports. We'll start the discussion with those written reports.
Avasara Bhante, we have received 5 reports today. Report number 1. This is walking and sitting separately. Garu Swamin Vahansa, walking meditation. Started noting left and right. Then I was able to notice sensations such as roughness, painful feelings when walk on a stone or rough sand. Even on tile, I felt the cold, warmth and smoothness. Sometimes thoughts appeared, but I managed to walk, concentrating on feet. When walking, I noticed how the body weight moved from left to the right. I can walk nearly 45 minutes to 1 hour. Sitting meditation. I start with looking at the sitting posture, then looked at the nostrils. I can note the breath going in and out. Sometimes thoughts appear. After some time, I realize that I am thinking. Then I come back to the breath again. At times, I do not feel the in and out breath separately, but I am aware that I am breathing. Recently, I noticed a change in the breathing. I do not sense anything, but I can sit and wait for about 1.5 hours. The sitting is very calm and tranquil. Once I get up, I continue the calm feeling for some time. I need your guidance on an issue I face with. At times, during the process of watching the breath, the concentration goes to rising and falling. Need to know what I should continue with. Your guidance appreciated. Theruvan Saranai.
So, if your attention goes to rising and falling, at what level? So, may I know who has written it? Yeah. So, if you think, say, you are with breathing for considerable period of time and your mindfulness is fairly sharp and concentration is fairly good, at that time, are you
sometimes at the beginning.
Sometimes at the beginning. Your attention go to rising and falling at the beginning?
Sometimes, not always. Sometimes after I had noticed my in-breath and out-breath, after some while I'll get notice of that also. Then I was wondering what do I have to pay attention.
Yeah, better stay with the breathing.
Yeah.
Because I felt now, say for example, if you are continuous breathing and then assume that breathing has almost like disappeared, at that moment that if you get certain sensations wherever in the body, then you can start watching them, observing them. Then we are slowly getting to the observation part, the what we call submersion, kind of a contemplation part we can start with. But otherwise, if you think, okay, further, now it is just at the beginning that you feel rising and falling. You can spend a little bit time, doesn't matter. So even today we did something like that. No, so just to settle ourselves, we can start with something gross, but then we can shift to Anapanasati since you are already capable in that. Because if you have skills in Anapanasati, not necessary to say continue with the rising and falling. You can be with the Anapanasati.
Report number 2. Venerable Sir, I am a novice to meditation. I tend to fall asleep when I meditate. Primary object is in and out breath. Need your guidance.
Yeah, this is quite natural. I mean, don't think that is an uncommon problem. This is a quite common problem. Because you know that you all may be engaged with so many activities, maybe an occupation and maybe a lot of responsibilities. And so it's a quite busy schedule you might be dealing with. So after coming here, nothing much to do. So you simply have to breathe, you simply have to watch the breathing or simply have to walk. That's also a very, monotonous kind of activity. You falling asleep is quite natural. But you need to understand, the thing is that more we engage with so many multitasking, so much of responsibilities, so much of talking, distractions, so that makes the mind somewhat bewildered. Completely, fairly sometimes quite a rough kind of a situation in the mind, from the mind's point of view. But in that sense, you are losing the sensitivity. So very refined object, relaxed object or calm, neutral object you can't be with. you fall asleep. So mind's sensitivity has reduced fairly. So with the practice, what we do is we are further improving, or we can say restoring our sensitivity. We had some kind of a sensitivity during our childhood, but we have lost because of so many activities, so many responsibilities. But now we are again restoring that sensitivity. We are trying to be with very simple things, ordinary things, and being mindful on all those ordinary things. So once you are gaining that skill, then you can maintain your attention on that ordinary simple activity without falling asleep. It will take time, by the way. So try to do walking meditation as much as possible, because during the walking it is very hard to fall asleep. And you can do mindful walking as much as possible. From there you can develop fair amount of mindfulness, and it will take you another level. It will grow to another level. At that moment probably you might feel, okay, I better sit rather than walk. I better sit, because mind expects, mind needs some sort of a further improvement or further refinement. So maybe walking is not good for that. So I need a kind of a restful posture for that. At that moment, that means you are already naturally you are in a sitting atmosphere. But immediately when you start sitting, so you are not prepared. Mind is, what you need to do is a very, very simple activity, boring kind of an activity, you falling asleep. Therefore, try to do more walking meditation, mindful walking, and again try to maintain mindfulness during the daily activities as well. Now say you are engaged with so many activities at home, at office, so try to be mindful on those activities as well. Say introduce some kind of daily activities, daily routines. Say you decide, okay, while eating, from next meal onwards, I am trying to be mindful while eating. While drinking a coffee, okay, next time when I am drinking a coffee, drinking tea, I am trying to maintain mindfulness. Okay, next time when I am brushing teeth in the morning, okay, I am trying to maintain mindfulness. So likewise, you put mindfulness to certain activities. You select what are the activities which are possible, and remember to include mindfulness to those activities. So likewise, you can incorporate mindfulness to daily activities. It will take time, because constantly we start forgetting. I want to do it, but keeps on forgetting. So how to remind yourself? So kind of various strategies are there. Say you put a label, and say if you are going to, you have your own bathroom. Say you just put a label there. Okay, while watching the mirror, okay, you have to be mindful. You are pasted there. So you remind that. So again, you ground yourself. You are not daydreaming. You are not thinking. Rather, you establish mindfulness. So likewise, introduce some little activities. Say, for example, if you want to be mindful while, say brushing your teeth, so have that as a little task in your to-do list. Okay, every day. So I have to be mindful while brushing teeth. So likewise, slowly incorporate mindfulness to daily activities, certain activities. Then slowly you will understand, okay, this particular activity now I can do mindfully, but not the other activities. This activity I am doing mindfully so that I have a little difference. Mind's approach is different. And I might feel some more details even in this very boring type of activity like brushing teeth. Not an interesting activity, but we are doing it daily. But more you introduce mindfulness into that, so you find it kind of a different kind of an activity. I am feeling like brushing teeth again. Maybe. Because you are developing something and probably you want to brush teeth even at night. Not a bad thing. So brush teeth at night also. It is good for your health. Good for the mindfulness as well. So likewise, introduce mindfulness to some daily activities. So likewise, you have a kind of a relationship with mindfulness development. It is not completely away from you, separate from you. Now you are slowly trying to incorporate mindfulness into your life. So without it, you can't, just by merely sitting and just by only coming to Kalalgoda, you can't uplift it, develop it. Rather, daily activities introducing mindfulness is a must. Yeah.
Report number 3, Venerable Bhante. What is the difference between compassion and upadana? Theruvan Saranai.
Compassion and upadana? Two completely different. So, say upadana basically means that you have a kind of a desire first, and you have a kind of interest, and then you are thinking, and you have a fair amount of desire, craving, and you want to have greed, and then you hold it. You are grabbing it, you are grasping it. But compassion is not that. Where you are compassionate of someone else's, say, miserable situation. So, by the way, it can lead to a sort of upadana. That is a risk. That is where we need to know the limits. Say, for example, say you are a doctor. Now, we just had a discussion with the doctor. She's a pediatrician, and she is so compassionate. So many little children are there. I mean, she has to help, and many things are there. But assume that there's a little child that I'm more interested than the other children, and you are so concerned, concerned about his behavior, his character, his say development. Kind of a special interest could be an upadana, could be a clinging. But otherwise, you are maintaining kind of a distance, because we know that limitations are there. Even though we are compassionate, we can't make the whole world a beautiful place. So we have limitations in our capacity. So that we need to understand, while knowing that we have to be compassionate. It doesn't mean that you completely withdraw yourself, but to the best of your ability you are trying to help, but knowing limits. And again, the one disadvantage or risk in compassion is that sometimes you forget yourself. So you are not looking after yourself, you are not considering about your own well-being, you are completely overwhelmed by someone else's, say you are into social service, maybe you are compassionate, but you are forgetting about your well-being. That is also not the proper compassion. So compassion has to include yourself as well. So you have to take care of your health, you have to take care of your well-being, plus the well-being of others. So likewise, in these areas, there are, as you probably have hinted, so the compassion has a risk of getting too much interested, too much attached. So as a result of that, you feel like you are compassionate, but it is happening as a result of attachment. Say, for example, you see someone disabled, but maybe the person is so beautiful, by the way. In one sense disabled, but another sense has some kind of a beauty. So probably you may have a kind of a sympathy, and you have a kind of an affection. You want to have a relationship. Is it merely because of compassion, or is there a hidden tendency? Vanchaka dharma. So vanchaka dharma is another way. So there could be a little hidden tendency which is not much known to you. You are being attracted to one side, but the excuse that you are telling others, okay, I am more compassionate, I want to help. So that may be the way that you are interpreting, but internally there may be an attraction going on. So likewise, there are such tendencies in our mind, very difficult to recognize sometimes. I am being driven by that. I am going towards him or her because of that attraction. But how I interpret it is like simply telling, okay, I am more compassionate. And say you are more compassionate about the social service. So you are going every time helping others, but forgetting about your own family. So such cases are also there, no? So you forget about your children, you forget about your husband, your wife, but you are really a great social character, social service character. That's also not balanced. So likewise, even in the compassion area, so there are certain limitations. So compassion has to be coupled with wisdom. That's a must. The role model is who? That's a Buddha. So Panyaya, no, Karunaya Upagamati, Panyaya Apagamati, or something like that is there. So he is going to the village out of compassion. Going just even very, very poor street, maybe peasants are there, very, very poor people are there, but still going on village Pindapata, one after the other, not skipping any house. But after having the meal, maybe going to the forest, has his own meditation, secluded because of the wisdom. So you are taking care of the both sides. Or maybe, teaching the Dhamma to the bhikkhus. So likewise, so wisdom and compassion has to be very well coupled. Otherwise we are lean onto one side. So if we don't have any compassion at all, only wisdom driven, intelligence driven, your keen intellect is there but no compassion, that's also partial. Others may not appreciate you. They know that you are an intellectual person, intelligent person, but no way that you don't know how to deal with the people, you don't know how to run a team, you don't know how to maintain a team, help others, you can't feel others, so something is lacking. But on the other hand, if you don't have wisdom, instead you are too much compassionate, so then you have so much of responsibility, you are always, taking others' burden, and forgetting about your own health, forgetting about your own family, forgetting about your, say, whatever the responsibilities, you are fully dedicated for others. That's also not going to work. So how to have the balance, compassion and wisdom? This is, very difficult. These are easy to tell these things, but when we practically face these things, how to balance wisdom and compassion properly is a challenge. So depending on the situation, where am I going towards the compassion? What is the limit? Where should I stop it? Where do I need to have the wisdom so that I know the exact limit to which level I am going to support? So that is something that we need to understand. Now sometimes, as I just mentioned, so while going through the compassion, probably you might develop an affection. That is also possible. So you are not driven by compassion, but a kind of affection is there. So you want to possess, you want to, kind of own something, but start with compassion. So sometimes very difficult. So these mentalities are quite complicated. So sometimes as a disguise of compassion, we may trapped in another defilement. Compassion in one sense is a positive quality, but under the carpet, what you have may be the lust. That's also possible, isn't it? So all these things are there. Now say for example, say there are two children. Say they are young, and one is a male, one is a female, and assume that both of them have the same kind of disability. So why do you have a separate interest onto any of them? Or do you have an equal kind of an attention to both of them? So as a mother, as a father, kind of a situation. So if we have a kind of a bias in our mind, probably I may select only one child. Okay, I am taking care of him, I am taking care of her. I don't want to look at you now. Likewise, kind of a separation can happen. So all these things are possible because we have our own interest, our own likes, dislikes, inherent characteristics, traits. So they govern the mind. So our compassion is not fair. Rather, our compassion is little biased. I am compassionate only to these people, I am not compassionate to another group of people. So likewise, many areas are there, and as you probably have pointed out, so compassion can lead to grasping. That is where we lose the limit, we lost the limit, and we didn't apply the wisdom properly. So ultimately we have grasped, we've been trapped, and we are even crying, something like that. So you went to help, but you are now crying. You are so burdened. So that is where we lose the balance. Interesting. By the way, I mean, these are very, challenging situations we might come across in our life. Yeah.
We were discussing same yesterday at Kalalgoda also, Bante. Could it be karmic connection that you choose and pick and choose people to help and all that? Help means like now the doctor's thing, like she's treating all the children, but one child is special for her. Could it be karmic? Some connection?
There could be many reasons. Because genuinely there may be a special interest needed, say special attention needed. Otherwise, things can, collapse. And that's a reasonable thing. But on the other hand, if I am being attracted to a particular, now assume that in the ward there are several children of the same ailment, and if I have a, separate special interest on a particular child, then it may be a trait, maybe something, a trap I am getting to.
Yeah, it's unfair by the other children.
Unfair by the other children. Now even within a family, so if a mother, if a father is giving special attention to a particular kid, assume that you have 4 children, and if you are paying special attention to one child, neglecting the others, then others are ill-treated. It's not fair for them. So likewise, our compassion can be biased. So that's why we have to incorporate wisdom into that. So we shouldn't emotionally driven at that moment. Because our emotions are so powerful, sometimes we are overwhelmed by the emotion and we are driven by the emotion immediately, and then we are not doing the right thing. But those emotions has to be recognized, and you have to step back and see what's the proper situation to do, what would be the best action to do. Now, one part of compassion is to do the correct thing. Now assuming that someone has fallen, met with an accident. You are compassionate, good, that you are approaching the place, you are trying to figure out, and you now start crying instead of helping. Why it happened to him? My goodness, he's a father of these 3 children, and how now they are going to survive. Now you start crying and panicking, but you could have talked to a doctor, call 119 or something, what it is available, and ask an ambulance and put the fellow into the ambulance and send him to the doctor, to the hospital. So that may be the best thing to do. But you being overwhelmed by the emotion, you couldn't figure out what to do. So that is where the compassion is not properly mixed with the wisdom. So that's why we have to be a little careful. We shouldn't be driven by compassion totally without any wisdom. So we have to have some amount of wisdom, then only we can have a proper balance, then only we can decide, okay, what should be the best thing to do at this moment. No point of I being panicked. So likewise, so we have to have certain amount of wisdom incorporated with compassion. And karma also may be another factor, but its participation very difficult to recognize. Isn't it? How it is involved, how it is operating in a particular context, difficult to understand. Yeah.
Report number 4. Venerable Sir, Kayanupassana, does it include the internal organs, and do we have to be mindful about the body? Is there a sutta relating to Kayanupassana?
Yeah, many suttas related to Kayanupassana. You can read Majjhima Nikaya Kaya Gata Sati Sutta, totally on Kayanupassana. And you can read Satipatthana Sutta, the first section is on Kayanupassana. Kayanupassana, there are 14 kamatahan, 14 meditation objects, starting with the Anapanasati, then the postures, then the Sampajanya, the maintaining mindfulness on the daily activities, then Dhatu Manasikara, elements meditation, then Asubha, 32 parts of the body, and then the Navasiyotika, the 9 stages of a decomposing corpse. So all that comes under Kayanupassana. It's a huge area, a broad area, where we get a different taste, different perspectives about the body from many different angles. So what's the previous question? Can you repeat that question again?
Kayanupassana, does it include the internal organs?
Internal organs, yeah. So internal organs you can include. So in the in the Dvattinsakara, Asubha Bhavana. So actually, you can do it in two different ways. One way is assume that you are a person who is too much obsessed about your beauty. If you recognize that, okay, I'm too much obsessed about my beauty, I'm thinking too much, I'm being conceited about that. At one time, assume that you understand that. That's a good thing, no? Otherwise, you're being conceited. Continuously, you think that I'm really pretty, I'm so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And at what moment, if you think, okay, I have to find out a solution for this, I need to restrain myself. So then, Asubha Bhavana is a very good thing, because you understand what is internally available. So each and every part is loathsome, not attractive. On the other hand, there may be certain lustful thoughts always overwhelming you. There may be an interest for someone else's body, or you are, too much thinking about some sexual thoughts, and that would be the main, difficult in your mind. Too many sensual, sexual thoughts. So then, Asubha Bhavana is a really good solution. Say you reflect. So what are the internally all these components are? So how this body comprised with, and how ugly they are, how loathsome they are. So that is one side. The other side is completely different. You are looking at the internal sense organs, different body parts, but from a different angle, where you equally recognize, there is no any particular ugliness or loathsomeness you are incorporating. Rather, you recognize, okay, this body consists of many parts. Like, say, for example, you know that your car, your bike, whatever, so it is consisting of so many little components. It may have tires, it may have other wheels, engine and nuts, bolts, fuel tank, and so many electric gadgets, lights, all together. Once it is assembled in a particular proper way, so we give it a name. Okay, this is a motorbike, this is a foot cycle, this is a car, this is a van, this is a lorry, this is a train. We simply give a name, but it consists of so many little components. They are connected in a particular style, particular fashion. So what about the body? Same thing. So you dissect the body and you recognize all these anatomical parts, and that helps you to disintegrate the body, and you reduce the compactness, you reduce the lust even, you reduce the delusion. So ultimately you get a fairly good insight, because when we think that this body is a one unit, then on it is easy to get trapped in it, easy to get deluded by that. But the moment that we understand, okay, this is a consisting of so many different little parts, and when they are assembled, oriented in a different fashion, I am calling it a man, or okay, this is a woman, so likewise. So all these components are get together, then only it is called a body, called a human, called a dog, called a bird, called a fish, whatever. So that understanding is more profound. So that includes actually the body parts, and sometimes people have the capacity even to see the body parts, and certain people have some gifted concentration. That concentration is capable of penetrating the skin, and it can even visualize the bodily parts. That's also there sometimes, not everybody, and it is not a must to have. Anyway, some people have that capacity. Even bodily parts they can see while walking, while sitting. Now they feel really, eyes are opened, because, this is what available inside the body. It's a really eye-opening insight. Because, the body is a very important area for us to understand, because that is the strong Sakkaya Ditthi we have. We consider the body as myself, body is one thing, it is so beautiful, or whatever, and I am so attached to it, it's my body, or this body is myself. So this Sakkaya Ditthi has to be broken. So Kayanupassana gives a very good solution for that, looking at from many different angles. Say, even while breathing, say, the more you train yourself, you allow the body to naturally breathe, and you step back and watch it. So you develop this proper perspective, looking at the body as body. It's not me, it's not myself, but it is a body. This body is breathing. Body is breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. So you are separate. You simply observing the whole process. So likewise, so Kayanupassana help us to develop all these skills. Yeah.
Report number 5. During the morning sermon today, you mentioned Rupajana, Arupajana and Nirodhajana. Can you please explain it? Do we experience these during Satipatthana and Vipassana meditation?
Nirodha Jhana, there is no something called Nirodha Jhana. By the way, Rupa Jhana, Arupa Jhana you might have heard. During the Satipatthana practice, actually, we can explain like this. Now, you all might be familiar with Samatha Jhana. First, second, third, fourth, and then boundless space, boundless consciousness, boundless or nothingness, kinchanyayatana, and ultimately the fourth one, neva sanya na sanyayatana, neither perception nor non-perception. So these are typically the Samatha Jhana. But on the other hand, while practicing Vipassana, you have the same jhana factors. Say for example, you are practicing Vedananupassana. So each and every Vedana, once it is arising, you have to apply your mind. So the vitakka is there. So applied mind is there. So the particular feeling is there, so you apply your mind there and you start then investigating that. So that is the vichara. Vitakka is there, vichara is there. Suppose now you are being familiar to this process. Previously it was difficult, but now assume that you are trained in that properly, now doing really well, and you feel happy about it now. Because this was quite challenging at the beginning, but now it is quite possible, and the mind itself is applying, itself is recognizing, investigating, and so you are a little happy about it, because now you understood the balance. Now the piti is there, sukha is there, comfort is there, so body also comfortable and well concentrated during that observation. Vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata is there during this investigation, during this observation. So Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, Venerable Sayadaw Upandita, so they say, so this is the first jhana in Vipassana, what we call as Vipassana jhana, the first one. And more we continue, now you might develop further concentration, further refined or sharp mindfulness. And now you don't need to jump to a huge difference to another object, but you can recognize while being there for a considerable period of time. Say for example, first I was watching here, and once it has decayed, I have to jump to here, because this has become the prominent object. But later, assume that your mindfulness is so sharp, so even you can recognize a tiny bit of here, and once it is disappear, you simply have to look at another tiny bit of very close place. So there's no huge vitakka difference, there is no huge vichara difference. Almost like you are staying at the same place like. But investigation is going on, you are carefully observing, but no huge jump from one object to another object, but very close examination is there. So vitakka vichara, the gross vitakka vichara is not there, but you are happily recognizing arising and passing away, particularly. You know, the arising and passing away characteristic of a particular phenomena. So a stream of objects are there. You are not jumping to a completely different place, but rather you recognize stream of objects arising and passing away, arising and passing away, arising and passing away, happily. So no vitakka vichara, but a very precise recognition of this whole process is there. It's fairly easier or fairly closer to the second jhana. The second jhana, the happiness is there, and the fair amount of concentration is there, and the comfort is there. So same thing is available in the Vipassana as well. Now, once it comes to the third jhana, where even it has become more subtler and you are more matured now, so there is no overwhelming kind of happiness, but you are comfortably looking at it, how things are changing. You are a little bit of equanimous about the process and you are watching it. That's another level. And maybe on to the fourth jhana level, so it has a variation. Where, say, object, assume it has completely disappeared now. But still, even without an object, you are maintaining a kind of empty mind. No object even. Complete equanimity is there. So that's Vipassana jhana. So at that level it is more profound. It is coupled with wisdom. And actually you have fair amount of mindfulness, clear comprehension, ekaggata, the concentration, but no object. So here actually the Vipassana jhana, it can lead to different levels. So say in the Satipatthana, so once you are coming to a level of anisita state, where there is no object, nothing to associate, no clinging, no grasping at all, so it's almost like we can say arupa jhana. Because nothing is there. Nothing is there and the mind becomes slowly opened and it's expanding and it's more powerful than samatha jhana. So it doesn't mean that you always have to be in such a powerful state of Vipassana jhana. So rather you may giving another prominence to recognize subtle defilements so that you start loosening or shallowing the jhana. Or how to say, rather than staying at a very deep concentrated state, you allow yourself to come to the surface so that you get various defilements, but you are recognizing them and abandoning them. So you are using this jhanic state to recognize defilements, abandon them, and that is how the progress happens. So therefore, the Satipatthana practice, Vipassana practice has a fair similarity with respect to the jhana in the samatha side. And if you refer Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta, so after you reach this what you call this anupadana state, non-grasping state of mind, so Buddha say there are many possibilities that you can reach there, but once you are familiar with it, you can jump to that. You are not coming through a particular method. Independent of the method, now you can be there. You are simply jump into that because it is now registered in your mind. You are simply putting your attention to there. It's almost like arupa jhana. Because nothing is there. So you have a completely expanded mind, open mind, no object, objectless, and you are simply there, almost like arupa jhana. So if you refer upekha nanatta sita, from that you are going to upekha ekatta sita. Upekha ekatta sita is arupa jhana. So Vipassana path ultimately merge with samatha very much like. So we simply sometimes say samatha Vipassana, but they are supporting each other. You started with pure Vipassana, you can say, but we can't say it is pure Vipassana. But at the beginning you are developing, you are minimizing distractions. Again and again you are taking your attention to the breathing. Again and again taking your attention to the rising and falling, maybe to a step. So that is samatha. We can't say we are developing Vipassana. That may be samatha. But later, once the mindfulness has established, okay, now you start investigation. Probably we can say a certain amount of Vipassana is there. But later, once you develop further Vipassana, and ultimately, as just I have explained in the Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta, where you have no object, and you are now familiar with that non-grasping state of mind, now you are jumping to that. So that is very similar to attaining a jhana. So you are in emptiness, but quickly you attain that. You simply arrive that without going through a Vipassana process. So you are trying to familiarize with the result. So the result become your norm. Result become your home. So result is very much like an arupa jhana. So they are really, blend together now. So Samatha and Vipassana are really blended together. So you can't say I am practicing Vipassana, I am practicing Samatha, but you are practicing both. Isn't it? Very beautiful. You read, whoever has written, you can read Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta, how Buddha is taking us from a Vipassana approach to this Samatha result-like thing. But there also Buddha encourage, okay, now you got to practice atammeta. Don't get into any kind of an identification. Don't allow yourself to attach to anything, or you don't become anyone. Atammeta. That's another level of Vipassana. So likewise, they are very well blended together and helping each other. So without proper tranquility in the mind, samatha in the mind, you can't recognize defilements. So if you are simply being in the tranquility without recognizing defilements, there is no wisdom. So therefore, they are helping each other. Yeah.
That's all, Bhante.
Yeah. So we have received only those questions. If you have any question, we can spend some more time. Yeah, there's a question there.
If anyone dies in that anisita state...
Dies in anisita state. So you have a good plan for now.
No. Then she might go to...
Heaven?
Not heaven, I mean the avupa loka. Then that's a problem, no?
But if you are a sotapanna, if you are a sakadagami, anagami, if you even go to the arupa realm, no problem. Because you know how to navigate, because even without anyone's help, you are through already. So there are such cases reported in Dhamma, say whatever the noble person, Ariya Puggala. So if he is born to arupa realm, so because there is no problem, because by himself he can achieve the next levels, next goals. But on the other hand, if someone without that level, if you are going to arupa realm, then there may be a stuck there. That's kind of a problem is there. But on the other hand, your question, so if one is in anisita state and at that level he dies, so there are few possibilities. Now, one possibility is where even though your mind is in anisita state, it doesn't mean all the latent tendencies are evaporated or extracted, uprooted. Yeah. You have certain amount of latent tendencies. That is enough for the next birth. Yeah. So you can read Chetana Sutta. Yancha bhikkave cheteti, yancha pakappeti, yancha anuseti, arambana metang hoti vijnana satitya. So, yancha bhikkave cheteti. So, if assume that you are thinking, so a lot of thinking is going on, proliferation is going on, that is a good source for the consciousness to establish. Sankhara khanda. Okay? Yeah. Say you are thinking too much, overthinking, proliferating, prapancha, all this and that are there. So that is enough for the consciousness to establish. Yancha bhikkave cheteti. Yancha pakappeti. That means it is not that you are intentionally thinking, but something is going on. Certain thoughts are coming, certain images are coming, certain perceptions are coming, kind of random things are coming and going, and mind is occupied. Not that you are purposely, intentionally thinking on a particular subject, but mind is fairly occupied. Pakappeti. That is enough for the consciousness to establish. Third one is the solution, yancha anuseti. So assume that the mind has nothing, completely clean, but still latent tendencies are there. So the next birth can happen as a result of that. So the latent tendencies can provide a ground for the consciousness to establish during the birth. So that is the case, actually we can say as an example, what happened to Anathapindika. I think we discussed this already. Anathapindika, so during his death moment, Venerable Sariputta came to advise him, So his main advice is to keep the mind without any kind of an establishment. Keep the mind unestablished. Keep the mind unassociated, anisita state, anupadana state. So that is the main advice. So in many different ways he is explaining, don't keep your mind on something what you see. Don't keep your mind on what you hear, smell, taste, touch, or think. Or don't keep your mind on your eye, nose, tongue, body, mind. Or don't keep your mind on the form aggregate. Don't keep your mind on the feeling aggregate, not on the perceptions aggregate, sankhara, formations aggregate, consciousness aggregate. Many different ways. Venerable Sariputta is emphasizing, don't establish your mind at anywhere. In other terms, what he is asking is to keep your mind unestablished, consciousness unestablished, completely anisita, completely unassociated. So that is the advice, And he is a noble person, Arya Puggala. So he should have able to do that,
Yeah.
But he is born as a what? He has after passing away, what has happened to Anathapindika? No? You don't know?
No.
You are Buddhist, right? So that's also a very interesting story. So Venerable Sariputta mentioned that, and then what happened? He started crying. The Anathapindika started crying. Then Venerable Ananda was there. He said, Upasaka, don't think too much. If you have some attachment, you think about that. So don't worry about that. So that indicates that he thought, Anathapindika couldn't understand this deep Dhamma. He couldn't implement it. So Venerable Ananda thought like that. Then Anathapindika says, no, Bhante, I am not crying because of that. This is the first time I am listening to this kind of a deep teaching. Then Venerable Sariputta say, yes, Upasaka, we don't teach this kind of deep teachings to the lay people. We are only sharing these kind of teachings among the monastics. So that's why we are not teaching these things to you. So then he make a request, Bhante, there are intelligent people even among the lay people, so therefore please share these teachings with us. Anyway, so that story has happened, so they came back. After some time he passed away. So then next day morning, Buddha is giving a sermon to the other monks. Yesterday night, there's a glorious deity approach, and he mentioned, I am so happy seeing this Buddha and the Sangha in this Jetanarama. I'm so elated by seeing how they are, with peacefully residing there and this and that. So he is so happy about it. So he is telling that. And then he particularly mentioned about Venerable Sariputta. He particularly mentioned about Sariputta. He is the role model for the whole Sangha. He particularly mentioned about that. And then he vanished. Then what happened to Ananda? When Ananda said, Bhante, it could be Anathapindika. It could be Anathapindika. Ananda, you are correct. So he has become a deity. He has become I think maybe, I don't know, Tavatin so Sita, I can't remember. So he has become a heavenly being. So that means he hasn't gone to the Arupa realm, no? Isn't it? He hasn't born in Arupa realm. Depending on his latent tendencies, he has born as a heavenly being. So therefore, it depends on our kind of latent tendencies. So if we have some kind of an attachment towards the Rupa realm, and probably we may take birth here in this Manusaloka, in the human realm. And if you have no attachment at all in the sensual level, so that means an anagami, non-returner, then he might be reborn in another realm. So that's therefore very difficult. So don't worry about too much about it.
So it's quite dangerous even in anisita state. That's right.
Sorry, unstable.
Anisita state. Might be.
No, I mean that. I think that's the best we can do. Maintaining our mind at anisita state is the best we can do. So the rest is kamma and that potential, because immediately we can't do anything else, no. But on the other hand, I have heard death moment is a really crucial level, crucial point. Even the full enlightenment can happen. So if you are able to recognize little defilements, subtle defilements, even at the death moment, and you cut them off, the full enlightenment also possible. I don't know. You have to die and see. Because that is something I can't remember somebody has mentioned. I couldn't find it in a particular sutta. There may be, but I can't remember. I couldn't find. But death moment is a fairly critical moment, crucial place, a crucial moment where you can do that kind of a complete enlightenment as well. But I don't say that you start the practice at that moment. You are going through the whole lot of practice, but you do the final clipping at that level. So that is also possible. Now there are certain cases reported like Channa. But Channa is one case, Godika is another case. So they both almost like committed suicide, but passed away as Arahants. Those are some exceptional cases are there, reported in the canon. But we can't generalize these things. That's the point. We can't say, okay, even though I am a practitioner, I am still complete. Putujjana, only at the death moment I am going to become an arahant. No, we can't generalize like that. We can't have a rule as such.
I heard that one can become sovan if you practice the death moment, realizing the anatma and all.
That's right. By the way, I think best thing is to work right now. Best thing is to work right now without waiting the next moment. Not the death moment, not the next moment. Just that even the next moment. Without waiting the next moment or next opportunity, you need to work out right now, and then may things happen. So then we are at least prepared. So during the death moment, probably if we have the potential, probably we can try our best to maintain the anisita state, and that is the best.
Try.
Very interesting. So let's try. Okay, if there are no more questions, then we'll wind up the session. And we have received sharing of merits. All merits gathered by offering today's breakfast dana will be shared with all past relatives. Wish that these merits will help Venerable Mahasangha and all yogis to attain Nibbana. Wish that all human beings be happy and healthy. Then lunch dana was offered to pass merits to my passed away parents E.L. Dharmasena and Vimala Dharmasena. May their sansaric journey be good and attain Nibbana. Merits to my family and the Kalalgoda Kalyana Mittas. May we understand Dhamma and achieve the path and fruition of Nibbana. Okay, those are the sharing of merits we have received. And then we'll wind up the session. And today also we have practiced and listened to Dhamma sermon and participated in a Dhamma discussion. And some of you are involved with the offering of dana. So all that what we have accumulated, all the merits we share with all the celestial beings, all past relatives and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to understand Buddha's teaching, attain path, fruition, Nibbana. We'll recite the traditional verses. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා සාදු සාදු සාදු